Yes. Well, new at 6, it's a story we first told you about a few weeks ago. Students at Plymouth High School interviewing local World War II veterans.
Yeah, today those students revisited their interviews and they told State Superintendent Glenda Ritz about their unique class project. WSBT's CRENSHAW was in Plymouth today and has more on how this all went and the impact this is all having.
That's right, Jennifer. It's been weeks since sophomores at Plymouth High School sat down with men and women of the greatest generation. And although time has passed, the impression veterans left is very much alive.
My great-uncle fought, Richard Grice. He was in the Army.
Hudson Yoder never knew what his great-uncle went through when he enlisted during World War II.
He signed up at 18, and he only was able to serve a couple months before he passed away. And this was the flag that came back on his casket.
Now Hudson and his classmates at Plymouth's Widener School of Inquiry have a new appreciation for the men and women who served.
I guess I'd never really sat down with a veteran and really asked them what was it like to be in the war and what was it like to fight with your friends and lose some friends. It was definitely an eye-opener to what it was really like during that time period.
I learned so much. I took so much from it, and nobody else is going to get this opportunity to learn all the stuff that I learned from just a week.
The interviews were sometimes difficult for both the vets and the students.
One veteran I interviewed was very emotional. He teared up because his brother died, and it was just so emotional. Everybody in the room teared up.
Superintendent Glenda Ritz visited to learn about the projects.
It's a once-in-a-lifetime project because World War II veterans, you know, there'll be a time when you won't be able to interview anybody. So you just preserved history.
But students had already realized that.
To be able to interview them and preserve their stories that future generations aren't going to be able to hear is a big honor.
An honor that many wish could have continued.
We all know how important this really was, and that this wasn't just a project. This was actually something that we wish we could have done every day, probably for the rest of the year.
Now students are in the process of editing each of the roughly 40 interviews down to a 5-minute video. The videos will go to the Marshall County Historical Museum, and each veteran will be presented a copy on Veterans Day, along with a DVD of their extended interview. Reporting live in studio, Zach Crenshaw, WSBT, Channel 22 News.